Welcome back to a brand new Civ 6 or Civilization 6 video. Today I'm going to be doing something never seen before in the history of man, a complete beginner's guide. I know, I'm a bastion of creativity, Disney take notes and all that, but in all honesty this guide is for the early game for Deity from about turn 0 to the medieval era on what you need to do to dominate the early game like I want Jadwiga to dominate me. The early game is by far the most important phase of any game, and this isn't just for Deity, of course. I can already see the Mother's Basement dwellers with their Dorito-stained fingers typing, "Actually, if it works for Deity, it works for every difficulty. Get out." Shut the fuck up, your parents don't love you. This guide works for any difficulty, and even without DLCs or on different consoles, it's just going to be some concepts like secret societies that might be different, but you can just skip out on those parts. Subscribe and hit the bell if you do enjoy, it helps out the channel a ton, and you won't miss out on future content. We start off the early game. I don't have a script at all, so if I make more piss and cum jokes than usual, you'll know why. But I'm playing as the Congo. It was a random civ, which is kind of nice, except for the fact I can't get a religion. But I picked the start because it's absolutely cheeks. I could probably spread eagle on the camera right now and get a better view than this fucking disgrace of a start. But the way you want to settle, pretty much for the most part, is number one, if you find anything like resources, like luxuries, for example, you do want to settle on those resources 99% of the time, I'd say. Get the immediate luxury, get the immediate yield benefit underneath, especially if it's faith or gold like gems or dyes, and if not, then you'll want to look for a Plains Hill tile. Why a Plains Hill tile? Well, because every city you settle is going to automatically have 2 food, 1 production no matter what. Like, you could be in the middle of the desert or something and Noah comes in and builds a new well or some fucking shit, and you'll get 2 food, 1 production on your city center. But the thing is, it doesn't take away anything. So if I settle on this Plains Hill, for example, 2-2 is bigger than the 2-1 I'd normally get, so the city center will have 2-2. Whereas if I settle on the stone, for example, the 2-1 would stay 2-1, and if I settle here, it'd be 2-1. The minimum is 2-1, but there is no maximum amount if that makes sense. You also want fresh water. The way you do that is to click on this, and actually, I might be missing a couple brain cells. Oh yeah, no, you do go here. You do that, settlers. Apologies right here, I haven't had my 5th carbonated, caffeinated drink today, so I am going to be a little slow. But the dark green right here is fresh water, giving you +3 housing. And then you have coastal water, which is like seawater, right? Not necessarily drinkable, but it'll do. +1 housing. No water, you'll get no housing. And then if it's red, you can't settle on it. So you do want to get the housing, of course. So if you go settler here, you'll see that lots of dark green around lakes and rivers. And I do have 2 resources nearby. We have a gems tile and a dyes tile. Before you do anything, you do want to move with your warrior first. For example, we're going to move this guy here just to get a little more exploration, a little more information. After all, that's never going to hurt anybody. And yeah, you could settle in place. Taking 1 or 2 turns to move your settler to an optimal location is better most of the time, I would say. Like, at the very least, I'm going to settle here at the very most, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit next turn. I know there are a lot of people out there who are like traditionalists or whatever, saying like, you're like the Antichrist or some shit, like you deserve the death penalty if you move your settler turn 1, but honestly, it is better, because if I take 1 turn off, I miss like 1 turn of production and research, but I do end up getting, for example, 3 gold or 1 faith, which adds up over time. Only move if you have to, of course. I'm going to move my warrior up here, and now we have 3 options. I could settle on this city and get the 2-1. I could settle on the gems and get the 2-1-3 and have a Kilwa city, and then I could settle on the dyes, for example, and I could just get a really good 2-2-1. The thing is, though, there's a reef over there, so if I do get a campus over there, for example, and then over here I could get a government plaza, and then here I could get a harbor with the lighthouse, which does give me more housing, and this is already going to be fresh water if I settle over here, so I'll get a lot of housing in this city. And then, for example, I could surround it. I can have an aqueduct near the fresh water, and then here I could have an industrial zone. And after getting a new change of underpants, just looking at all these beautiful yields making me uncontrollably ejaculate, then you're going to realize this is a better spot, right? I could give up the 1 faith, and that's exactly what I am going to do. Lots of housing, which will be better for the late game. We get an immediate luxury, and as you can see, we get 2-1-3. The gems tile isn't removed, it's still there, and we get lots of housing in the city of Banza Congo. So I'm going to move my warrior down southwest. Doesn't really matter where you move him. This is pretty much my thought process when it comes to settling cities. Before you get started, before we really go in balls deep inside of the game, you want to figure out your plan. Whether it be an achievement run or victory types, I'm going to really stick with the victory types for this video because that's what most people want. There's about 5 of them. Science, domination, culture, religious, and if you're a degenerate, diplomatic, and if you're a furry, score might be more to your liking. Those are the 5 victory types, 6 really, although score we don't really count. And early game, you want to sort of pick the victory type because especially on the higher difficulties, you really have to focus in, hone in on one victory type, or else you're going to be far behind and it won't be as, I guess, optimized or whatever, and that would make you lose the game essentially. We'll go through them one by one, starting with diplomatic. I don't recommend going for diplomatic, not because it's hard, but because it's brain dead easy. I could literally give a monkey like the basics of Civ 6 and he'd win a diplomatic victory. It can easily be used as a backup without even having to worry about diplo favor. But if you really want to go for diplomatic, then I would recommend going for pagodas, a religious building that gives 2 diplo favor in a city. Get alliances, get city-state suzerains for diplo favor. Then once you have 16 diplomatic victory points, build the Statue of Liberty to close out the game. We'll go ahead and go for domination next. If you want to step on other civs like I want women to step on me, then domination is more to your liking. With domination, the best time to go for a domination victory is if there's another civ near you that you can easily blitz and take out in the early game, grab their cities, and snowball out of control. Technologically, you do want to go ahead early game, and there's different ways you could go for a domination victory, I suppose. There's different units for each era, but here's what is optimal, I guess. If you want to go for an ancient classical era rush, bronze working to get iron, get your swordsman or the Gao Biba in my case, that's going to get me fucking canceled on Twitter, and then after that you want to go the battering ram and then archers. The reason you don't go horsemen or war chariots, heavy chariots, is because if the AI gets walls, then battering rams can't be used on cavalry units. Only melee units can use them. And the reason you don't go spearmen is because, well, they are probably one of the worst units in the game. They just fill me with disgust. And archers are to help you kill units. They're literally the best unit in the game. They're ranged and they do so much damage. And also with the domination victory, keep your units alive. Getting all those promotions is the difference between turning them into some sort of like conscripted force that dies within the first contact of enemy lines, and then ones that absolutely just take out 6 enemy units on their own and be home in time for dinner. But after that, you are going to want to go for a medieval era rush if you can, and with that, I would go siege towers, crossbowmen, and man-at-arms. Pretty much the same thing as the classical era, except you're upgrading your units. When it comes to the Renaissance era, that's different. There's no battering ram or siege tower to take out walls in the Renaissance. You have to get bombards, and with that, you'll need niter. After that, I'd recommend going musketmen if you have upgraded swordsman units, for example. Just keep those promotions, or you could go ahead and you could get the cavalry units like cavalry or cuirassiers, although they're more so industrial era units, so maybe you won't be able to get them. But yeah, it's pretty much exactly what you want to do for domination. For science victory, it's simple. You want to go writing, and then you want to beeline whatever technology gives you the science, like university. From there, you'll want to go industrialization for production and Ruhr Valley. After that, you'll want to go chemistry and then rocketry, and this is an early game guide, so I'm really not going to worry too much about that. But the best way to go for science is if there's no one really near you, and then you could settle 10 cities by turn 100, which in my opinion guarantees a science victory if you just follow the plan I just outlined with the tech tree. I've never lost a game aside from a surprise religious victory when I had 10 cities by around turn 100. Turn 120 is fine, even turn 150 is okay, and even if you only have 6 or 7 cities, you can still win, but that, in my opinion, guarantees victory, 10 cities by turn 100. The best thing for you to do, though, is to go for an early war, like I said, take out the nearest civ, for example, and just like that, you'll have 5, 6 really well-developed cities because the AI starts with so many bonuses in the early game, and you'll be able to snowball out of control. Culture is a little different. You do want to go for your cultural great works more than anything, so you'll want to get the theater square, get political philosophy just to get the government, but that's really for everybody. From there, you will want to go for humanism to get museums and archaeological museums. You do also want to build holy sites to get faith, because mid to late game culture really has a lot to do with faith. You also want to get some of the wonders that have lots of great work slots, like Bolshoi Theater, for example, and also Broadway up here. And then you'll also want to get natural history for the archaeological sites, and you're going to want to go conservation to get naturalists for natural parks, but the most important thing to get is going to be Cold War to get the rock bands. They speed up your victory dramatically. You're going to go from a snail or an obese scooter driving, I guess, Walmart enthusiast or whatever, into just Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Rock bands are a catalyst. They will turn your reaction from absolutely nothing going on into a goddamn mega colossal volcanic eruption. You want to save as much faith as possible for rock bands. Religious victory, again, another brain dead victory type. You want to go holy sites, astrology. I can't build a holy site site because I'm the Congo. You'll be able to build a holy site, get a religion by getting a great prophet, use them on the holy site, and then from there you'll want to get as much faith as possible by missionaries and apostles, which you'll need temples for, which is in the Civic tree over in theology, and then start spreading your religion as much as possible. But those are pretty much the victory types. Score isn't necessarily counted because score is only after turn 500 is finished. Whoever has the most score possible is going to win. So let me just go to the interface and show the things, I guess, or whatever. Here, I have 0 score right now, and it's used if there's a tie at the end of the game. But if you want to go for a score victory, just go for domination pretty much, and leave one civ with just their capital, and then wait till the end of the game. There's no way they'll be able to win with just their capital. But that's pretty much the planning, I guess. Let's get into the actual gameplay. After getting bullied constantly, these little bugs immediately subscribe to the Civ Lifer, and we get to see exclusive footage. They grow 250 pounds of pure muscle, immediately grow 30 feet taller, one roar and the Twin Towers have collapsed again, and they unlock their true Civ Lifer subscriber selves. Bear witness to the power, one fastball on the continental plates shift, and Australia's attached to India again. Leave a like and subscribe to immediately reach the pinnacle of human evolution, make 6 figures from your jawline alone, and 2, more importantly, not miss out on future content. After spending the last 10 minutes cosplaying a commentary channel talking about communism or some fucking shit, let's get into the actual gameplay. There are 3 different orders: build order, tech order, civic order, that are extremely important. Let's start with build order. Now, everyone loves building scouts, 2 or 3 of them in the early game to run around snatching goodie huts. I despise scouts, alright? If I had 2 buttons, one of them telling me I could save humanity but scouts are still a thing, and the other is remove scouts from existence but kill all of humanity and just life in general, you best believe I'm killing the humanity and scouts. I'm pressing that button so many times, there's not going to be any life for the next 10 million years. Alright? I despise these guys. They're good in the early game, I guess, for exploring and whatnot, but they only have 1 more movement speed than other units. Like right here, if you are going to, for example, climb up on a hill and then go here, like if I move this warrior here and then here, the scout would be the same exact thing, 3 turns. If I cross the river and move here, the scout would move exactly as fast as a warrior. They're only really good for exploring open terrain. Not only that, but the AI on the higher difficulty starts with so many units that by the time you do get scouts and get them out and running, the AI's already grabbed up all the ancient ruins, alright? There's nothing left for you. It's like Ash coming in like fucking 2 hours late to get his first Pokemon, and he's stuck with fucking Pikachu or some shit, alright? If you had Charizard, okay, well, he did get Charizard. Never mind, alright? I'm not that deep into Pokemon lore, okay? That's just kind of the example I'm trying to give. You're going to be late, alright? And just like women getting periods late, it's really not a fun experience for anyone involved, and that's exactly why I don't build scouts. Not to mention, after the early game, there's literally useless. Like, you can technically go and get skirmishers and even rangers if you really want to. That's like putting up a sign in front of your city saying, all the men and women are gone, come take our cities and children. Like, yeah, that's kind of suicidal at that point. That's why I don't like building scouts. If you like them and you want to build them, that's great. Congratulations. There are different ways to play the game. Just go ahead and leave a dislike or leave if you really were triggered or some fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. But when it comes to my build order or whatever, I like going for Slinger, Warrior, Slinger, Monument. And now, if I run around and find that there's nobody within 8 nautical miles of me, like it's even more, I guess, barren than the Sahara Desert or some fucking shit, then I'll probably remove this other Slinger and maybe even Warrior and just get started on the Monument. But the reason I like doing this is because in the early game, the AI is always going to try and attack you if you're weak. You want to get the Slinger first to try to get a boost to archery by taking out a Barbarian. You want to get Warriors because they're really the meat and bones of your early game defense, and then a second Slinger because you'll eventually get archery, which Slingers upgrade into, which are, again, the best units in the game. After that, you want to get Monuments because 2 culture is so huge in the early game. Letting you get an early huge PP is absolutely massive, not to mention early Empire, State Workforce. They're all just really important civics in the early game. That's really what I like to do. After that, I will get a Settler, Builder, and then start Settler spamming for the most part. That's pretty much what I like doing in the early game. When it comes to early build order, at the very least, depends on what victory type you're going for, like we said early when it comes to planning, but I'm gonna do a science victory, because I feel like that's what most people do. I feel like that's what most new players should do, because it's not brain dead easy, nor is it difficult and tedious like a domination victory. So again, I am going to go, first things first, I'm going to go archery. After that, I'm gonna go writing, and then from there, I'm going to look at the luxuries and bonus resources nearby. I need irrigation, mining, and then jungles need bronze working, and then forests need mining. early. So you want to get all the early technologies out of the way after getting archers, because once you get archers, you're pretty much Thanos, alright? You're unstoppable. They'd have to send the fucking Avengers after you, revive Tony Stark or some shit. Once you get archers, you're just a menace to be dealt with. You keep 3 or 4 archers, the AI is not coming into your city, alright? It's like anti-shower repellent or something to like Axe body spray enthusiasts or some fucking shit. You want to go archery. After that, you're going to go writing, and then looking at the early game, I need irrigation and mining, so I'm probably going to go mining into irrigation. Brown's working for jungles, and then after that, what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to go for currency. Commercial hubs are huge. Early trade routes can really help cities just grow so much bigger, stronger, and dominant. It's like going to the gym 6 days a week, bro. Blink a couple turns, like 10 turns, and your city's going to be like the real-life version of GigaChat or some shit. After that, you are going to want to go industrial zones for production, education for universities, and that's pretty much the early game. Now, if I do meet a civ or city-state that I want to take out early on, then again, I will go for my swordsmen, battering rams, archers, and then go for an early war like that, but I don't think anyone's going to be nearby. If they are, I'm just going to go the safe route of archers into writing, and when it comes to civic orders, you have to start at Code of Laws, and then you want to beeline early empire immediately. The reason for that is colonization gives you a 50% production towards settlers. I don't know how the hell that, you just manifest destiny. You pop out those settlers just extremely fast. You get like 10 cities by turn 100, you've won the game. After that, you are going to want to go to state workforce, and we'll talk about governors soon, but you want to get the government plaza, 2 governor titles, which you're going to want to spend on Magnus, which we'll talk about soon, and then political philosophy, so you can build the ancestral hall, which gives every new city a free builder and another 50% production boost to settlers on the city that built the ancestral hall, and then you get to pick your government, which we'll get to in a little while. That's pretty much the early orders. Again, build order. If you want to build scouts, go ahead. I'm not your mother, and that's pretty much what I do in 99% of my games. After that, we're just going to pretty much hit next turn and explore with our starting warrior. Now, there are a couple different ways you can really explore with this guy. The most important thing to do early on is to find where you're going to place 10 cities. Again, you don't need 10 cities, but I have personally never lost anything other than a surprise religious victory after getting 10 cities by turn 100. So you can either go up on the hills or you can go and travel the floodplains. I'm going to travel the floodplains because I want to settle cities near rivers, and with the, I guess, 3-tile policy, you can't settle cities within 3 tiles of each other. You are going to want to find river systems that are at least 3 tiles away from your capital. So I'm going to keep exploring. There's the coast over there. That's another actually really good harbor spot. You see really good civic spots, just do that. I do use a mod. It's not needed, of course, but the mod I like to use that gives me the numbers on what the districts are going to give me is called the detailed map tax. It's just such a great quality of life mod. You're going to move that guy up there. We get our first city-state, Zanzibar, one of the best ones. You can see the suzerainty over here. They give 2 unique luxuries that give 6 amenities each, and they can't be gotten in any other ways. Not only that, but I did get the Owls of Minerva Secret Society. We'll talk about governors soon, I guess. Let me just go ahead and talk about early exploration. You want to find as many spots for cities as possible, and just like that, we do meet Saladin of Arabia. We gotta find his capital city, alright? Because Saladin, if we find him like early, oh, he denounced us. They denounce you, they are going to come after your butthole, so just pucker up, I guess. Arabia's right over there, so they are really, really near us. Medina is right over there, and just like the AI, they settle in absolutely the worst possible location, so that's good to hear, I guess. But with Arabia being down there, we have 2 options right now. We could go for an early swordsman rush, and if you want to do that, you want to look around and see if you have any potential spots for iron. Iron is going to be on spots that are on hills without anything on top of them, no forest, no resources, etc. That's where iron is going to spawn. We did get animal husbandry right now. Again, you can get a horseman rush if you want. There are no horses nearby, so I can't even if I wanted to, but I have 2 options. You could go ahead and go archery and continue doing the same thing you've been doing, or you could go ahead and go for ironworking and get your unit. What I think I'm going to do right now is I think I'm going to go for the ironworking for 2 reasons. Number 1, I want to show you guys how to go through an early war, and number 2, if it doesn't work out and I waste time, then that's just going to be harder on me, if that makes sense. So I'll show you that not everything has to go perfectly for this game to be, oh my goodness, I think I might jump off a bridge. It was nice knowing you guys. I just found my 13th fucking reason, so yeah, I'll be back. I guess we'll use the scout. He's free, so there is that. But yeah, like we said, there's Teddy Roosevelt. That's kind of sucks because he's coming in up north for us. We'll see who we go after first. There's a natural wonder go bust in. It's not a good one, so even if I settle it, it isn't gonna like break the game or anything, which is great. When you find someone early you could potentially take out, you want to explore their territories, get a little reconnaissance going. And yeah, we're gonna continue moving. Slinger's gonna move there, so we pretty much have a lot lot of our early terrain, I guess, found out. And what you want to do is you want to settle cities. Settle on the coast if you can with harbors, just so you can get the extra gold as well as the housing from lighthouses. After that, you're going to want and settle these cities as close together as possible. Closer because you want more cities. The more cities you have, the better. So worrying about yields and whatnot can be like good and whatnot, but getting cities as close together as possible will give you more cities, more of the districts you need, and of course, okay, well, fuck you too, Teddy Roosevelt. Go to the fucking gym, bro. I'll pay for your membership, dumbass. And yeah, early game, you are going to want to get the districts, because districts are going to what make or break your game. That wasn't an English sentence. I don't know if I was speaking some sort of, I guess, fucking Delarian or some shit. I don't know what the hell I was just speaking, but I think you guys get my meaning. Get these cities as close as possible. For I guess, chiefdom slots or whatever, you want to go discipline into God King, get the early Pantheon, get the production towards Barbarians so they aren't a nuisance. That's pretty much what you're going to do in the early game. Explore as much as possible. See if you can find people early on who you can eliminate from existence, like I found with Arabia, and we are going to try to go for an early domination rush, I guess. While we continue with this game, I'm going to go ahead and monologue about the different types of miscellaneous things, I guess, starting with governors, alright? When it comes to governors, the first 3 governors you're almost always going to want are Amani, Magnus, and Pingala. Magnus, because with provision, settlers don't consume population. Apparently, we found a way to reverse engineer like T-cells or some shit, and now we're just building people out of thin air that don't cost population. Pingala is because this is the science and culture guy, and those are the 2 yields that you really need to win, really any sort of victory type. When it comes to Amani, Amani gives 2 envoys when placed in a city-state. So for example, I could get Suzerainty of Zanzibar, and not only get them as an ally, but sort of get exploration. I'd really only go for Amani if there's an early civ you want, or if there are multiple civs you have 1 envoy towards that you can get suzerain and exploration of, just to help you explore just that much faster. So for the early game, because we are going to be building a lot of settlers, of course, and there aren't too many city-states early on, we are going to want to go Magnus. We're going to put him in Banza Congo in my capital city, and then eventually we'll get the 2nd promotion and upgrade him into provision. Next up, secret societies. There's 4 secret societies. You got the Owls of Minerva, Hermetic Order, Void Singers, and then one we haven't discovered, the Vampires, alright? The best one to go for 90% of the time is Owls of Minerva. It's the most well-balanced, giving you envoys towards trade routes to city-states, as well as extra economic slots in the governments, which we'll get to in a minute. It's really good. They also give you extra spies later on, which are just really nice. They're just really nice for any sort of victory type. Hermetic Order, Neophyte lets you reveal ley lines, which become good later on the more promotions you get. They're absolutely useless. 90% of the time, you'll only have like 1 or 2 ley lines maximum, and when it comes to 1 or 2 ley lines, they're really not going to be as effective as any of the other governors, so I'd normally recommend ignoring them, unless you're okay with reloading the save if you don't get the ley lines you want. Void Singers is if you're going to go for a really big culture and faith-generated game. They do end up transferring some of your faith into culture and science, which is huge, but again, you do need the culture and you need the faith at the start to actually go for it, I guess. When it comes to vampires, you get them by taking out a barbarian encampment, and they give you a free vampire military unit that's as strong as your strongest melee unit. So for example, I get a vampire now, I'd have 20 combat strength. If I got a vampire after I upgraded Gaumbiba, they'll all turn to 38 combat strength. That's just how they work, and you can get vampire castles anywhere on the map after the 2nd promotion, and they take all the yields of adjacent tiles, and they give them immediately to the capital, so they are pretty good. We'll get to picking governors eventually, although I do recommend going for Owls of Minerva, unless you have, again, lots of faith generation, you think you'll get a lot of ley lines, or if you're going for domination, then go vampires. When it comes to governments, again, go for the policies I just outlined in the early game. When we're viewing governments, there's 3 in each, I guess, government slot or whatever. We'll focus on the early game ones. Autocracy, Classical Republic, Oligarchy. Oligarchy gives combat strength to melee units and experience, and 2 military slots, so do that for domination. Autocracy is really the worst of all of them in my opinion. Production towards wonders is nice if you're going China. 1 yields for each government plaza, palace, whatever, which is in your capital. That's nice, but that really isn't going to change your game, and they have 1 of each title, which is okay, I guess. But Classical Republic's the one you're always going to go for if you're not China, not building wonders, or if you're not going to go for early domination. Housing and amenities is huge. You get 2 economic slots, which are the best in the game aside from wildcard, and extra great person generation, which is absolutely massive. Just big chungus type of massive. But yeah, we're going to move down south, take out this encampment, and then we are going to talk about settling cities and getting started with our war with Arabia. We'll also talk about wonders and religion a little bit. Those are high risk, high reward. They can either help you dominate the game, or you end up spending so many resources and not getting the beliefs nor even religion or wonder you want that you end up wasting time and are so far behind that you can't catch up. In my opinion, you don't need the religion nor wonders like 99.999% of the time. They can be nice, of course, if you are going, for example, an early, okay, this guy is, get ready to bend over, I guess. But if you are going for an early wonder or religion, they can be helpful. But again, they're just high risk, high reward. Sometimes you're not going to get them. So only go for wonders or religion if you're okay with not, I guess, getting the wonder or religion. If you fail, it's no big deal. That's probably the only time I would recommend getting those different things. But yeah, we're going to attack, try to take out this encampment, and try to get vampires, or try to get a bonus towards slingers. Although this guy's probably dead, honestly. Nope, he is not. All right, we're going to keep this guy fortified. I do not want to lose this guy. Move the slinger down south to deal with the barbs. You're going to move up there. And again, you do want to settle cities wherever you can. For example, this city's coming over here. The more the merrier, I say. So we're going to go ahead and settle by Go Bustin', and then we could go ahead and get more as we explore more tiles. When it comes to early game expansion, there are two ways you can expand. I'm just going to go auto explore with this guy. You can build settlers to settle cities, or you can build military units to take cities from other people, and that is the one that is going to be the most effective. Let me explain. I got archery. I think this city-state's going to get the encampment, though, because they could just move and pillage it, although I'd much rather get the archery boost than I would rather get the, I guess, encampment gold or whatever. And you could also spend money to buy spearmen or to prevent the clan from attacking you and whatnot, but this is with the DLC. Most encampments are just going to walk in and you're going to take the camp. But when it comes to expansion, the reason war is better than settlers is because the AI gets so many bonuses, they have so many builders, so many settlers, that you're going to get cities that have builders already built for you. Not to mention they are also going to, okay, you didn't go to that encampment, that's really good. But they're also going to have buildings, districts, as well as tiles approved for you, which is pretty much just a head start. And the thing is, after building your early army, you can get as many, okay, well that wasn't good. I guess we lost a slinger, that's unfortunate. You're gonna stay back. We've killed 2 barbarians. We'll try to kill a 3rd in order to get the encampment. But like I've been saying in the early or bronze working, excuse me, like I'm saying, if you do want to go ahead and take out take out civs militarily, because you get those cities all for free. If you can't, of course, it's not the end of the world. You are just going to have to go ahead and get settlers, obviously. After this monument, for example, I think I'm gonna go double settler into builder. And now let's go ahead and talk about pantheons as I get mine over here. You're pretty much praying to a pagan god that's going to somehow give you bonuses and whatnot, which is pretty nice. Now, there are a number of ones you could go for. Religious settlements gives you a free settler. Always go for that one. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 million. Go religious settlements and thank me later, unless you're going for Russia, Dance of the Aurora, or something like Desert Folklore Mali or Sacred Path Brazil or anything like that. But with that, you can either A, go fertility rights for more growth as well as a free builder, or you can also go for God of the Forge, which is also taken, which is 25% production towards military units, which is really good. But since the only one is going to be fertility rights that I can grab, City Patron Goddess gives you production towards your first district, which can be good. And then of course you also have the different ones that depend on resources like fishing boats and pastures. Then one of the better ones is the one with the Lady of the Reeds and Marshes. Desert floodplains, marshes, and oases give 2 production, which is huge if you get a lot of them. And Divine Spark, of course, gives you extra great people points, especially if you're going for a religion. I think right now I'm going to go fertility rights, just so I don't have to build a builder. So if I find iron nearby, for example, I can immediately send this builder to build it, improve the iron, and then we can immediately get our 20 iron, build our units, and go to war with Arabia. Let's go ahead and hit next turn. When it comes to settling cities, again, you do want to settle as outside as possible. Loyalty is a thing, of course, and if you have negative loyalty, let me just try that again. It's settler here you're going to explore with loyalty. If you have negative loyalty, the city will eventually flip to the AI. So you want to settle as close as you possibly can without suffering from loyalty bonuses, just so you can sort of establish a frontier, I guess. Like, for example, here, I could go ahead and place the city here. I'd settle that city first before any of these cities, just so I have the loyalty to withstand and stop America from pushing, and so I could fill out everything while I'm waiting for the loyalty, I guess is the best way to say it. We'll go ahead and actually settle right on top. I can't settle on the gems tile. That's unfortunate. That's pretty much early expansion. I do have a good amount of cities. Something else you could do is keep like your units on the outskirts, so if the AI tries to move in, you can attack, steal their settler, and then make peace 10 turns later, because the AI will always make peace with you, unless they're kicking your ass or something, if you're the one who declares war on them after 10 turns. Okay, well, looks like we're gonna have to back away from that encampment after all. It feels like that one meme right now where there's just like 5 black dudes surrounding one girl. That is exactly what's happening to me. Honestly, Honestly, though, fuck this shit. We're doing it for Valhalla, boys. Let's do it. Okay. We were close. We'll get him next time. Next, let's talk about early game district, as I immediately lose half of my military force. Early game districts, the best one to go for is going to be the campus. Harbors are going to be the best if you have a coastal city, because they do give a huge amount of housing if you do settle a city right beside the coast with a lighthouse. But most of the time it is going to be campuses, followed by commercial hubs, followed by industrial zones and going for science. If you're going for culture victory, you are going to want holy sites and theater squares, and then you are going to want to go for, again, commercial hubs and industrial zones. If you're going for religious, it's going to be holy site. If you're going for diplomatic, you'll want the diplomatic quarter. Aside from that, you'll go campus, just like a science victory, campus, harbors, commercial hubs, industrial zones, that type of stuff. Yeah, this is not looking too good for us militarily. We are hopefully going to be able to defend this one, though. We should be able to stop them. I think most of their military units were going after America, of course. I will try to bait them if I can. You can never lose your capital, so never worry about that, honestly. They're going to do some damage to me, although I should be able to hold off a little bit. Move in there. We're making so much money right now. I am also going to go ahead and buy another slinger and probably another warrior. I'm entering a dark age. If you enter a dark age in the early game, don't worry about it. Like, dark ages really aren't the worst early on, especially if you are going for like a domination victory, for example, as we get bronze working. And when we search up iron over here, we have two results, one over there and the other is going to be under Samarkand, so we really only have one iron tile. Now, you could settle on top of the iron, or if you want the iron working boost, you could build an iron mine, which is going to give you the boost, although considering that we want to go with war as soon as possible, and we're only going to have one iron source, we got to start stockpiling the iron as soon as we possibly can. Now, the good thing to do with settlers is to like trade a luxury you have, or trade something if you can, and get the money to just buy the settler outright. First one only costs 320, and if you do what I did and settle on the gems tile, you see what I told you, then you are going to have more than enough money to buy a settler, your first settler, and then you'll get these cities settled out as soon as possible. We're pretty much going to time-lapse the actual war because I don't want this video to get 50 minutes long, and also because there really isn't anything too interesting going on. I did end up girding early empire and colonization. I bought a settler, and then I settled my other two cities. I also built a third one to get that city on the coast, and I am in a dark age. However, like I said, that doesn't really matter. I did have my units. I began upgrading my unique units, and then I was waiting pretty much to build more units in my capital, get gold to upgrade into archers, and get a battering ram. I kind of fucked up a little because I upgraded a slinger into an archer before getting a battering ram, so I had to spend a couple more turns. I did also get oligarchy and the vampire secret society just to help my conquest that much more, and then I finally did declare the war on Arabia, and it really was just an absolute stomp. They didn't have any strategic, so all they had were warriors and catapults, and I did put governors in my cities just to give them just enough time to end up taking Arabia's capital, Cairo, and Baghdad to prevent any loyalty loss. I did also get a heroic age, which is a golden age after you were in a dark age, which gave me 3 potential benefits instead of just 1 policy, which was pretty nice for me. But again, you want to surround the enemy cities, so just get that like heart with like a cross in between, like somebody got shot by Cupid or some fucking shit. And once you do that, that means the city is under siege, and when the city's under siege, it can't heal. But it was pretty easy. Again, I did go natural philosophy as a governor title, or a economic policy slot, and aside from that, that's pretty much it. I'd say nothing really too important occurred after this point. And that's pretty much gonna be it with my war with Arabia. Absolutely dicked them down, honestly. I've never seen something more disgusting, just steamrolling through them. I felt like I was Germany running through France over there. It was absolutely incredible. But yeah, as you can see, it's about turn 96. We only have about 7 cities. We could keep going and get that 10th city, and I think that's what I would do probably 90% of the time. I'm just gonna heal up my forces right now. This is more so an early game guide. We have room for so many more cities as well. I don't know if I want this to be a city-state, because it's not the best city, I guess. We could settle better. But yeah, as you can see, we're pretty much set up in a really good position. He's got more science than us, steady. Doesn't matter. Bull moves steady. You end up catching up in the mid to late game anyways, and we don't even have our campuses out. Again, tech orders and civic orders, that was pretty much what you want to do most of the time. Now let's talk about if it doesn't work. What if your plan absolutely fails? You just fall flat on your face, right? You just couldn't do it. Sometimes it happens to the best of us, right? Sometimes you go for an early war and you get absolutely smashed, and let's say we weren't able to take Medina. Let's say they got man-at-arms or crossbows or something. Well, I would still have about 4, 5, 6 7. I could squeeze in an 8th right there. I'd have about at least 8 cities at least, which is enough to win most of the time. After that, I could put to shut up, phone. You're not important. You did 9/11. But you could go after the city-states. In my case, they did end up getting swords and man-at-arms before then, so I would have had to rush them almost immediately, and Zanzibar only has like 1 tile you can attack from. But again, I'd pretty much just turtle up, get my campuses, get my districts out, and then I would go ahead and try to win that way. It would be a lot harder for sure, but in the mid to late game, I could then go turn around with planes and bombards and shit, and then take out Arabia and these city-states that way. But it worked this time, and it worked great. I did go vampires to eventually end up getting the more units we have, the better. Like, we lost a couple going after Baghdad, although I really didn't end up retreating from Baghdad and healing up like I should have, because I thought I could take the city, and I was right. Peace deal, of course, if you want to. He doesn't want to do anything, I guess. It's fine. You can just go ahead and take out his last city. But, yeah, if everything goes wrong, again, diplomatic victory is still an option. Like, if we didn't take his capital, we wouldn't be getting the excessive grievances nor occupied original capital penalty. And from there, I would just try to save up Diplo favor, know where and where I can't win a diplomatic victory thing, type of diplomatic decision type of here. I did end up getting at least 1 Diplo point, which is nice. You can see it is an absolute joke for like everyone, diplomatic victory. Then I'd get a harbor, and then by the time I get 16 diplomatic victory points, I would go ahead and get Statue of Liberty to win the game that way. That's pretty much most of the early deity guide. We are at about turn 96. Turn 100 is, I think, when the early game really ends. But yeah, the other thing I would have done is get alliances. If I did have friends, of course, I would get alliances. Do they know anybody? It is a Pangea map, yeah, so I could eventually find people after my grievances with Arabia goes down, or if I take them out. I'd get some friends, get some science alliances, especially to get science from traders, and I am going to be building harbors and commercial hubs as much as I can. This commercial hub isn't really necessary because we get a trade route from the harbor, but yeah, that is pretty much going to be the video, all I wanted to talk about. Let me know if you guys want a mid or late game guide, and as always, leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy. It does help out the channel a ton, and click on this video in the top right corner for more. I'll see you there. Peace.